Good Monday morning. Welcome back to Breakfast Television Canada. And there's no doubt that the 2020 pandemic has produced stress for families around the world. No more so than for parents of young children tasked with the added pressures of protecting the innocence of their little ones. Our next guest, PEI entrepreneur Mikey Wozniak, joins us this morning to tell us about his children's book that helps families cope with COVID-19. Mikey Woz, When the World Stays Inside. Good morning, Mikey.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, man. I was just telling you right before we came up here, I'm like, I miss PEI. My family, my parents, when they came as refugees to this country, they ended up in Summerside, PEI. That was the first place they settled, and it was treated very, very well. They spent many years there. I got a chance to go back there 2 years ago, and what a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And you're in Charlottetown this morning. How are things there? How have they been recently?
I have to say the health care system has been really managed well. We had very low numbers. We've maintained very low numbers. As far as I know, there's no active cases I'm really happy to be here right now through all of this.
That's awesome. And then you decided to write a children's book during this time. Where did that idea come from, and why did you want to do it?
I mean, it's a little absurd sometimes whenever I think about it, but really it was just a place for me to focus my own anxieties and worry and concerns. You know, when everything locked down back in March, there was a lot of unknowns, and I was just kind of scratching my head looking for answers. And it struck me that this is maybe one of the first globally shared experiences, and that kids and people around the world would be struggling with this exact same fears and anxieties. And so, I just kind of started writing this kind of limerick story about, how do we use this time and why we should be maybe thankful for this time that we have to spend with our families, to spend with the people we love. And, before I knew it, I had this kind of manuscript, and I sent it to my friend Sarah over in Halifax, Nova Scotia, who's a great illustrator. And she came back and it kind of brought her to tears. And so she was happy to illustrate it for me.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. What kind of messages are you telling these kids, man? What do they need to know?
Well, I mean, throughout the story, it's kind of when the world stays inside, what kind of opportunities will it create for us? Whether it's time to bake with our parents, or whether it's time to to help with chores around the house, whether it's time to learn, or whether it's time to kind of stay active. But I think that the general spirit and message of the book is just about appreciating this time that we have to spend together. And I think there's going to come a day for those of us who have been lucky enough not to be touched with any tragedy. There's going to come a day when we look back at this moment as a very special opportunity. So I just was, hoping that to give kids this kind of token that they'll be able to remember this moment by.
And Mikey, it's so cute and it's great for the kids, but what can parents get from this? Because, it is still from a grown-up perspective. So what can parents take away from it?
Well, I mean, as I'm not a parent, my wife and I are part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and so that was part of it. Thinking about our little and thinking about nieces and nephews, that kind of inspired this. But I think as a human, whether you're a parent or not, I think that this is, you can read this and it will fill you, I think, with a positive sentiment, maybe a little bit of nostalgia for those months that we stayed locked inside. I think everybody can use that little bit of perspective right now. It's a really, really troublesome time, and it's hard to kind of not scroll your news feed without seeing lots of negative news and stories and how this is impacting people. But I think that sometimes it's important to kind of take a look at it from that other side. And and I certainly don't hope that this minimizes the worries and troubles that this has created. But I do think that there's a positive light here, a silver lining to be found.
Yeah, no. We understand, of course, the gravity of the situation and all that, but you are giving people something to smile about and give them another thing to look at and have hope for. What have you learned about, during this time? You would learn clearly that you can be an author now. What else have you learned during this time that you've had to, kind of isolate and spend more time with your wife, obviously, as well?
I think there was a lot of things I learned. I mean, I learned that I could be a place for people who, once I came to terms with my own fears and I kind of, reconciled those emotions and came to terms with what was all happening, I was able to process these feelings through this process. And then I was able to kind of be there for other people who are needing that same help. And, and I think that we can all, take it upon ourselves to help those who need help. This is the opportunity for us to rise rise up in any way we can to be there for the people who are struggling through this the most.
Mikey Waz Books is where you can find it on Twitter and Instagram as well. Check it out, whentheworldstaysinside.com. Check the book out. Do it for the kids. Do it for yourselves. Have a little read. Get some hope and inspiration from someone named Mikey Waz. Mikey joining us from Charlottetown this morning, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I appreciate you this.
Have a great day. Have a great week, brother.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Be back. More BT Canada coming out.